celebration. There's a celebration happening over the weekend as well. Memorial Day is happening on Sunday. And we're going to chat this morning a little bit with the Minister of National Security. He joins us via Zoom, the Honorable Fitzgerald Hinds. Good morning to you, sir.
Very good morning to you, Rawkus, and your colleagues at the studio and your very many viewers and listeners around the globe. Good morning.
Minister Hinds, I must say I was expecting to see you in your Diwali garb.
Well, I carry it in my spirit. I carry it in my head. I came out of a very wonderful Diwali celebration at the Prime Minister's residence, well, the Diplomatic Center, night before last. And just before that, I was celebrating Diwali with the prison service as well. So it's all in and around me. So let me take
Most
the
definitely.
opportunity to say Diwali blessings to you and to all of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, particularly our Jahaji Bai and Jahaji Bahin across the land.
Most definitely. All right, now, Minister, we have some important things to discuss this morning before we get into our celebrations. I want to discuss a bit about the Miscellaneous Provisions Testing and Identification Bill 2021. What is that exactly?
That bill it calls for an amendment to several pieces of legislation. Let me share them quickly with you and your viewership. We have asked in that bill for an amendment to the Judicial and Legal Service Act, an amendment to the Prison Service Act, an amendment to the Defense Act, the Police Service Act, the Civil Service Act, the Fire Service Act, and the Financial Intelligence Unit Act. And the bill is designed to create a regulatory framework for the conduct of polygraphing, lie detecting, drug testing, and for the collection of certain biometric data from individuals who populate all of those organizations, so that it will allow the heads of those organizations in particular circumstances to call on the persons who work therein to be so analyzed in the cases where there is some incident leading to serious death or loss of property and that kind of serious thing. So it is designed to test the integrity of those individuals who populate those organizations. I imagine this is where we are starting, particularly with the ever popular police service, which unfortunately for it is the organization that is in more direct, sometimes controversial or confrontational contact with the citizenry. So the police features, but this is not only about the police, but when incidents occur, when property is stolen, when dishonesty apparently prevails, those who are trusted to investigate these matters and to share the truth, facts, and circumstances with you, the national community, with a member of a family who would have lost someone in some tragic incident, it is important to be sure that we are speaking and listening to the truth. So these measures allow for the scientific intervention for measuring the truth, including, of course, polygraphing and other means of integrity testing, as I call it, along the way.
Now, a couple of questions, Minister. You mentioned that it's when incidents occur. Is it that that will be the only circumstance under which we will be utilizing this facility, or would it be something that happens ongoing just to make sure that the integrity of these various organizations are kept intact?
It would be ongoing. It will allow them to ask the individuals to be so tested, but we try to limit the circumstances, not a carte blanche thing. You don't just get up and you see Rawkus and you just say go and have one, or for some whimsical or malicious reason. It will require some serious incident, or when the circumstances generate the need for it in particular cases, all defined in the law that is in front of the House.
Now, Minister, how do you anticipate that this would aid the police and other arms of national security in the fight against crime?
Well, for me, Rawkus, this is as straightforward as it is simple. I have been a police officer myself. I've been in public life for many years, Minister of National Security, and it is now clear to me, and I'm sure it is to you, that you can't expect to fight crime, to sanitize the society of the criminal pressures that are being put us, if the instrument or instruments that you are using are dull. are themselves unsanitized. I mean, an officer of the Inland Revenue who is dishonest, who is a fraudster, can cause someone who owes a business entity, owes $14 million in taxes to you, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, upon receipt of $400,000 as a bribe, can cause that money to be unpaid to the taxpayers. Someone working, for example, in the Registrar General's Department, where they issue death and birth and marriage and company registration certificates, can simply create a false company so that people can launder money therein, or cause someone to die with a false death certificate, a false driver's permit, give identity documents to people, and all manners of wrong and mayhem can transpire. So the idea here is to ensure that those who are to serve us, those who are to fight and push back against crime, are themselves trustworthy, not only to win and to hold public trust, but also, very importantly, to hold the trust among themselves. Because believe it or not, I am almost certain that there are police officers, there are soldiers, there are customs officers who do not feel confident about the person working next to them.
Mm-hmm.
And in some cases, that can be life-threatening. So it is important that trust is built. And I am sure, because we do already have vetted units in all of these organizations, police service in particular. And when you have vetted units, everyone in that unit who is going out on these very dangerous missions, who is investigating crime, they know that those working with them are, let me use the word, integrity possessed, and therefore they can feel confident to turn their back on such an individual. And they know when they bring the cocaine to the station, the rats don't get access to it, but rather the court when the trial of the accused ensues.
Most definitely. Now, you
It's
mentioned
very
trust a lot there,
straightforward.
Minister. Minister, you mentioned trust a lot. Are you confident that you will get the support that you need to pass this very important legislation?
A very interesting question. This bill was introduced actually in February of 2022. I had presented it before the House, and we got signals from our friends on the other side because it does require a special majority. This bill, by virtue of the involuntary testing, requires, and these testings requires you to sit in front of a lie detecting machine, a polygraphing machine, have some electrodes put on you, and questions asked of you, sometimes for analysis, a bit of a hair particle or two, a bit of hair, saliva, for DNA testing and all of these things. So it is in that sense intrusive, and therefore it goes contrary to some of the express provisions of the Constitution of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, particularly sections 4 and 5. As a result of that, I demonstrated to the Parliament, as has been often done, that the fact that we are implementing measures which affect those constitutional provisions or your constitutional rights does not in themselves make it unconstitutional. You have to demonstrate that there is a legitimate aim or purpose, and I think I've already done that, the need for trustworthiness and for public confidence and for internal confidence among those who must do these very dangerous bits of work. But also, it must, apart from having a legitimate aim, it must as well be proportionate. You can't be using a sledgehammer to crack a nut. So what the law says, our constitutional law, is while you establish that legitimate purpose, the amendments must go no further than to resolve those, so that there will be no unnecessary intrusion on the citizens' constitutional rights. So it does require some constitutional support from our friends on the other side, hence the reason why we have commended it to them for their support. And I am confident. Now, you may think, based on our record, that my confidence is misplaced. But I've heard the leader of the opposition in very recent times publicly condemn corrupt elements of the police service and the magistracy. She added the word magistracy. She understands as a public officer of many years that corrupt officials create problems, real problems. And on that basis, leading the UNC in the parliament, I expect her support. I have heard the Prime Minister, who leads our side, the government, make express contemplations about corrupt police officers and corrupt law enforcement and public officials generally. I've heard the Commissioner of Police. I've heard the Chief of Defense Staff. I've heard the Customs and Immigration Controller and the immigration leader. So I am confident that we will get the support of our friends on the other side, and they will not behave in the way that they have behaved in important matters in the not too distant past.
Nice. I love to hear that. Really excited and looking forward to it. But something the nation is also looking forward to is celebrating this weekend. Yes, we know we're celebrating Diwali, but also on Sunday, we'll be celebrating Memorial Day. What do you hope the national community will take from the importance of this observance on Sunday?
Well, in country and societal terms, there have been challenges to it. What happens on Sunday is a recognition that we had 2 world wars, so-called, and that even citizens of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, all across the region, at that time as colonial outstations for the United Kingdom for the most part, were involved in this. And some of our sons perished in those conflicts. And therefore, we pay homage to them. We pay annual tribute to them in this Armistice Day observation. And the state puts on a military parade, led, of course, by Her Excellency is invited to attend, the learned Honorable Chief Justice, the Prime Minister of the Republic, the Speaker of the House, all of the outstanding office holders in Trinidad and Tobago, to commemorate the work and to recognize the blood that was shed to maintain democracy and freedom for all of us to continue to enjoy in this world. So I'll be there as Minister of National Security. It's actually hosted by my ministry. And yet again,
and I know they oftentimes have a fantastic display that is put on as well. So, of course, all the best to you and your entire team this weekend. And, of course, all the best with the bill going forward. And I thank you so very much for joining us this morning to share this information. We genuinely appreciate it.
Thank you very warmly, Rawkus, and your colleagues and all Trinidad and Tobago. Blessings to you all. Thank you very kindly.
Shub Diwali, Minister. Take care. All right, guys, we're going to take our first break of the morning and come back with more in our morning show. Stick around. It's going to be a fantastic morning of celebration.